Wellish besties, I know we have all had the universal experience that we are intaking information to try to develop ourselves and to become this version of ourselves that we know we're capable of becoming. But without fail, once you intake all of the information, you have all of this awareness and none of the embodiment, like none of the skill in order to make this happen. So it leaves us feeling like almost panicked, like it makes us feel like not good enough even more than we already did before we started intaking the information at all, because you know what you're supposed to do, but you just don't feel like the version of you that you want so badly to be, like the dream version of you that you picture in your head, even though you know how to become her. Awareness is obviously incredibly important. It's 50% of it. It's the first half of achieving anything that you want to achieve, because obviously, how are you going to achieve anything that you want to achieve if you don't know about it? Like if you're not aware of it, you're not aware of your role and you're not aware of how to make things happen. Like awareness is so important. It's so the first half of it. So what about the second half of it? The second 50% of this? That's the embodiment. And when we get trapped in all of the awareness and only utilizing awareness without embodiment, it just adds to the perfectionism or the self-criticism that we partake in. So this episode is going to be about bridging that gap between knowing who you are now, who you want to be, and how you actually get to feel like her. Make sure to be a good friend this week, not just to me, but to your other Wellish besties by rating and reviewing the show. Rating and reviewing the show really does make a difference in getting the show out to other listeners. So by rating and reviewing, you're allowing like-minded people to be Wellish just like the rest of us. And of course, you want to make sure you do right by yourself as well and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode of Wellish. We've got double the amount coming out now, so absolutely you're gonna not want to miss a single episode. You guys know I love a good why. Like I want to get to the bottom of why the awareness, when I logically understand how something works, why doesn't that change how we operate in the world? We get trapped in this idea that if you understand it, you'll change. And logically, that makes sense, because if you understand why you acted a certain way, or you understand how to act in a way that you want to act, like how you read this article about these 5 ways to show up as a confident person. So now you intellectually understand what you have to do when you go into social situations so you don't show up like the awkward weirdo that you've showed up like the last several times that you've been in social situations. But then you get to the social situation and you're still like, and like, why? And now you're so much more upset. Like you're so much more annoyed because you know what to do, but you can't do it. And that's what I mean by like, it just adds to your perfectionism and your self-criticism, because now that you know what to do and you're not doing it, now you feel like you really suck. So why does that happen? What is that about? It's the knowledge to skill gap, okay? This is one of the most important things that I think I have ever learned, and one of my most favorite things I love to share on this show, the knowledge to skill gap. If I had known about the knowledge to skill gap years ago, it would have saved me years of trouble. The knowledge to skill gap is when you have all of the information logically up in your head, but you do not have the skill to apply it. Let me paint you a picture. I'm going to use the same confidence awkward example that we were just talking about. So you read an article, you listen to Wellish, you watch a video on YouTube, and you learn how to be confident, okay? Like you logically understand that you have to make eye contact with people, that you have to hold your shoulders back and not be afraid to take up space. You learn that you have a voice and you should be able to use it, but what you don't learn is that it takes practice. So you go to your next social event with the idea in your head that you're allowed to take up space, you're allowed to use your voice, and you need to make eye contact with people. And you walk in there and just by default, you avert your eyes. By default, you don't speak up because you're afraid of rocking the boat. By default, you feel like you're slouching and you're feeling like, oh, I don't know where to stand. And then you notice it because you're aware of it, but then you still don't change it, okay? What's really important to know about this is the reason that we feel like we can accomplish the things that we now logically understand out in the real world is because they're internal. Even if you're externally making eye contact, externally taking up space, externally using your voice, it takes your internal to feel like they can accomplish that goal. And because you're logically, internally aware of what you need to do, you don't understand why you can't just execute that. But it's the same exact thing as if you want it to be a painter. But because that's something that happens on the outside that we know we have to practice over time, we don't expect to become Picasso overnight. We expect that we're going to have to learn. We expect that we're going to have to take a class. We expect that we're going to have to watch YouTube videos. We expect that we're going to have to try over and over and over again until we understand the techniques and actually get good at the painting techniques. It's the same exact thing when it comes to this. Just because you logically understand how to do something, because you're a smart ass person that knows how to do it, doesn't mean you're going to be good at it yet. So you go to the event, and a lot of the first times of doing this is going to be the awareness, is going to be noticing when you could have made eye contact longer, noticing what you would say if you felt brave enough to speak what's on your mind, feeling like you need to not be afraid to take up space and that you deserve to feel that, and being aware, not doing anything about it, but just noticing those places where you could have done better. And the biggest thing here is not beating yourself up for those things. Being able to be aware of when that happens and say, okay, that's a good thing to take note of. And then maybe a few times later, you go to do it and then you avert your eyes. You go to say the thing, and then you're like, oh yeah, no, you're right, totally, 100%. You go to stand somewhere and take up space, and then you're like, okay, I feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna go back over here in this corner, So, but that's the next piece. You're inching yourself out there. And then eventually, over time, as you build the skill and you teach yourself that it is safe to do those things, you're teaching your nervous system that the whole world isn't gonna collapse and fall apart and you're gonna be like ostracized if you do these things. You will learn that you are very capable of showing up to the social event as a confident person. But it takes time. You have to allow yourself to practice and build the skill. Our brains are going to look for proof of whatever story we very deeply believe. Even if we tell ourselves like, oh, I can be this new version of myself, but on the inside, you really feel awkward and uncomfortable and not worthy of being in a space, it's going to look for signs that proves to be true. That's confirmation bias. So you have to program yourself enough to be aware to look for evidence that it's not true. And that's what doing those practices does. It finds proof, it creates proof, and you notice that proof intentionally in order to build the new deep belief that that old story isn't true anymore. It also helps with identity inertia, that you are creating this new identity for yourself and allowing yourself to truly believe that you're embodying this new identity. But without the proof of that, without embodying those things that you're aware of and practicing it over time, not expecting to be perfect overnight, but practicing it over time, it builds those two things. It builds the identity that you are a person that goes into social situations and is confident. And over time, you will have more proof that you show up confident than you show up awkward, or insert whatever thing it is that you want to be. That it over time, you prove to yourself that you're someone who sets boundaries. You prove to yourself that you're someone who says no. You prove to yourself that you're someone that's funny. You prove to yourself, insert literally whatever thing you want to achieve. You prove to yourself that you're a good-looking person. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, anything that you want to achieve, insert that in, and then you build evidence over time to create that new identity for yourself, and then your brain will automatically start looking for proof of that instead of looking for proof of the old thing. This is what people are always talking about when they say that you need to just like wake up and show up as the version of yourself that you want to be. You wake up, you ask yourself, how would my ideal self show up today? How would my ideal self have a good morning? How would my ideal self, like what would she be accomplishing in a day? And then behaving in alignment with that thing until eventually you feel like her. But I just think that wording it like that creates this like large expectation. It creates this space that you feel like you are setting yourself up for failure, if I'm being completely honest, because you're not there yet. You have to slowly close that knowledge to skill gap over time and give yourself grace while you're doing that. And if you're spending the time doing the things, screwing up, and then beating yourself up for screwing it up, you're just creating more evidence that you're the old you and not the new you. And now your identity is locking in, and your deep belief is locking in farther and farther with the old narrative that you don't want to be anymore compared to the new narrative. But it is really important for your habits and your self-concept to align, obviously, so that you can build the new identity and the new narrative in your head so that you start to believe that thing. So you have to do your best to create the new habits and to align as much as you can with the version of yourself that you want to be, so you can fill that bucket as much as you absolutely can and believe that more and more and more. But you can't beat yourself up when when things inevitably fall into the other bucket too. It's just that this new person bucket has to be more full than the old person bucket, and that old person bucket is going to start more full than the new person bucket because that's what you've been filling for so long. So you have to give it time for those things to evaporate and to go away out of that bucket, and give yourself the grace that it's going to take time to fill the new one. Your brain acts based on who you believe you are. So you have to train yourself to deeply believe that you are this new narrative, and then start to show up as that person as much as you absolutely can. And I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse here, but that includes not beating yourself up for when you screw up, because the new version of yourself doesn't self-criticize, doesn't expect perfection. So that is still you acting in alignment with your new self, is being kind to you when you do inevitably make mistakes. The most important thing you can do in order to move from awareness to embodiment is intentionally partake in micro actions that prove your new identity, that show you that you are showing up as the version of yourself that you want to be. And this can be absolutely anything that makes you feel proud of you. Sometimes that happens without you even knowing. Like this morning, I had to go drop off a library book. So instead, after I dropped it off, instead of coming home, I went on a walk and I stopped at a couple shops. Bought myself a new cute little perfume, and I stopped at a cafe and I had this like salad summer bowl and a latte and read my book. And I felt really proud of myself for doing that, you know? And maybe that's like a big step for you to go out to eat by yourself right now. But it's something that takes time. It's something that like you can do small things over time that make you feel proud of yourself, whether they're intentional or whether you're just noticing when you do something that makes you feel proud and you're like, shit, who's she? I fucking got that shit done. That makes me feel like I'm the version of myself that I know I'm capable of being. If one of the things your new dream self wants to embody is that she believes that she's worthy of rest, when you are following a routine day after day, and you know that it makes you feel good. You're going to the gym, you're eating well, you're waking up at a certain time, you're taking care of yourself, you're doing things awesome. And then you have a week that you just don't fucking feel like it. You have a week that you're not going for shit. Like nothing can get me out of bed. I want to sleep in. Allow yourself to do that. Listen to your body. Allow yourself to take that break. The number one thing that I have learned really recently, honestly, that just did not click for me is that consistency doesn't mean doing things every single day without fail. Consistency means doing things more often than not. So if I go 3 weeks out of the month that I'm following routine, that I'm going to the gym, that I'm eating right, but I have a week that I just don't fucking feel like it, that's okay. I'm allowed to rest. My new narrative believes that I'm worthy of rest, that my new narrative believes that I'm good enough however I show up, even when things like that happen, even when I have these lazy weeks, and that I work hard and I deserve, you don't even have to work hard to deserve the rest. Like, get rid of that language right there. You just heard me spit that out. Like, you just deserve rest because you exist. You just deserve rest because you feel like resting. Now, obviously, if you are never doing those things and you want to accomplish them and you just lay there forever, like that's a different story. But if most of the time you're doing the things that you want to accomplish, you're acting in alignment with your routine, you're doing that consistently, It's okay to take a break. It doesn't mean that you're failing at it. It doesn't mean like, oh, look, see, I always fall off. I always break habit. Like, that's you confirming the old narrative. Confirm the new narrative and say, I'm someone that's allowed to take a break. I'm someone that's allowed to be as consistent as possible. I'm someone that does her best as often as she absolutely can. And I know that my best changes every single day. I know that my best can change from moment to moment, and that's okay, and I love myself anyways. If your new narrative is that you trust yourself, your micro action can be when a situation comes up that you need to make a decision, make it on your own without having to pull in 5 other people to ask what they think or what they would do. That is like one of my guilty habits, 100%, is that when something comes up that I feel like I don't know what to do, if it's something big, like when I decided to go back into the office half of the time, part-time, whatever, or if it's something small, like not being able to pick a pair of shoes, like I'm calling my mom, I'm calling my friend, I'm sending a picture to somebody, I'm posting it online and being like, what do you guys think? No, like I need to be able to trust myself to make the decision. So being aware of that and then following through with this idea, embodying that I can make decisions on my own. But it's possible that you're not going to do these micro actions about every single thing every single time. And that's not something for you to beat yourself up over now. The point isn't perfection. The point is providing your brain with evidence that you are becoming the new you. I want to share some practices that I do for embodiment because they really be working for me. And I love it. And one of the things, like the first thing that comes into my brain is being able to say to myself, like, you're just at the beginning, like you're just getting started. And it like makes me excited, and it takes this pressure off of myself that I have to do all of the things today, that I have to solve all of my world problems, all of my hangups. I have to do all of that today. I have to behave 100% in alignment today. I heard someone say on a podcast the other day that, oh, you know who it was? It was, oh, I wish I could remember her name. I suck that I can't. It's not Khloe Kardashian, but the other founder of Good American. She said that we all do this thing that we try to figure everything out today, but we don't think enough in the, like how did she word it? She said we underestimate how much we can achieve in a year, and we overestimate how much we can achieve in a day. And I thought that was really interesting. Being able to zoom out and look at your life in a long-term way is wild for embodiment. It allows you to slow down and give yourself grace and practice these things over time so that you can build the skill over time and know that you're just at the beginning. You're just getting started. I'm going to get even better at this. And this is crazy, especially when you start to add things to your embodiment bucket and learn that you are closer to this version of yourself that you know you can be, is that you're like, holy shit, if I've gotten this far and I feel this good, and I don't even feel like I'm her yet. I can't even imagine what it's gonna feel like in a year, in 5 years, who I'm gonna be at that point. It works, dude. Another one is having like good, solid routines. I used to reject routines like the motherfucking plague, okay? I felt like if I did the same thing every single day, that meant that my life was boring and that I was just gonna be a part of the rat race, and that I wasn't fun and spontaneous and had a cool life that looked like an Instagram or a TikTok aesthetic video, that my life should be like, it should have all of these like wild, crazy, cool things ingrained in it, and when it didn't, I would just feel bad, and I would feel like I was flailing, and I would feel like, what can I do? What I gotta do, check things off of my bucket list, and I need to do things all the time in order to have my life look like that. And that's not it at all. Having the routine makes you feel so solid. It makes you feel so confident. We are creatures of habit, okay? Like, we are creatures that thrive on a motherfucking routine. And you would be surprised how spontaneous you really are. Because week after week after week, things are not the same. You will be able to incorporate fun new things into your life without having to make any effort at all. Your friend asks you to go to this concert. Your sister wants to take you to this event. You decide to sign up for horseback riding lessons because you saw an ad in the paper. An ad in the paper? What fucking year is it? You get my point. You walk down the street and there's a cute little fest happening or a cute little artisan fair happening. There is so much spontaneity that happens that will not make your routine mundane or make your life feel mundane, and it really genuinely makes your life so much better. But you have to create something that works for you. I love to post my routines. I love that people do that, but I would never, like, the worst advice that I think I've ever received is follow this routine because it will give you X result. That's not true. It gave that person that result because they created a routine that worked for them. And every single individual is different, and therefore their routine that would make them feel like X result is going to be different. What works for me might not work for you. Maybe you can take steps from my routine that you like and incorporate them in, see if they work for you, test, trial and error, and be willing to change it when it starts to feel like something you don't want to do. Maybe you change your routine all the time. Maybe every couple weeks you're like, you don't vibe with the routine anymore, so you do something different. The point is to always have some sort of structure in your day so that you can rely on that, you can lean on that to feel good about yourself and feel like you're living in alignment with the dream version of you, because the dream version of you does X, Y, and Z things. So I'm gonna plan that in my day and try to do that as much as possible. And if you can't accomplish certain things, and if you don't want to do certain things, like you just don't fucking feel like it, then maybe that piece of this is not something that your dream self does. You know, like if you are genuinely acting in alignment with you, it will not feel like force. You're doing something because you think you should do it, because you would really like to do it. You wish you were that kind of person, but you have to just be honest with yourself, be brave enough to look yourself in the face and say, I'm not that. And that's okay. I love you anyways. What do I want to do? Another one is your environment. Like, one of my favorite things to do now, especially that I live alone, is cleaning the shit out of my house. I spent the entire morning yesterday deep cleaning. I mopped, I swept, I vacuumed, I wiped off the blades of my ceiling fan, I wiped down my whole tub, I did my whole toilet, I did my whole sink, I said that already. I put all my clothes away. I just like, what else did I do? I feel like I did more than that. But like, I mean, and then my space just feels so, I put all of like the little scent moments, like I've got my wax melter going, I've got a candle going. I went outside and I got flowers and plants and put them in my little like pots and shit like that, little containers around my house, and it just makes my home feel so good. Like, I know my ideal self wants to live in a cozy space, and that is exactly what I have created for myself. Like, when I have my vision board, when I think about the home that I'll live in when I get older and I have more money, it is like this gigantic but very cozy space. And so now that I have a small space, I will still make that as cozy as possible. I'm still going to make that as much in alignment with the home that I know I will have in the future as possible. So creating your environment to be in alignment with your dream self as much as you can. Going on Pinterest and figuring out how you can get things in your home to look like the home that you want to one day have. And if that means going to thrift stores and garage sales, or finding a new way to organize the things that you already have, because we're balling on a budget out here, like, that is okay too. There are so many ways that you can decorate that are like that you might not even be thinking of, just because maybe your brain doesn't work like some of these magicians that can make their spaces look so great. Another big thing I've been doing a lot lately is visualization. And I struggled with this at first because I didn't actually know how to visualize what it was that I wanted. Like, I had that idea in my head, but it was just swimming up in the shitstorm of all of the thoughts in my mind, and I didn't have a specific image nailed down, so I struggled to visualize. Like, I would lay down at night, because they would say, like, okay, like, these are the times that when you wake up and when you go to bed at night are the times that you're like most whatever, supposed to do that. So I would lay down to do that thinking, oh, okay, like no problem. I'm just laying there visualizing. And it would be like, I have no idea what to think of. Like I could think of a couple things, but it just wasn't very clear. And I wanted to get it to be clear, okay? So here's another example of something that you have to practice. You wouldn't expect to have to practice it because it's all in your mind. So you think that you should just have the visualization. If it's what I want, I should be able to just visualize it. But it's a muscle that you build over time. And you try to understand more and more what it is. So I ChatGPT'd, hey, this is what I want. I'm having a hard time visualizing. Can you help me figure it out? And it would say something back to me. It would create me this whole narrative, and I would read it and be like, okay, I love that. And obviously I didn't take absolutely everything from what it said, but it allowed me to get more familiar with what my visualization would really look like. And then you go on Pinterest and you type certain words into Pinterest and you click on the picture and then you scroll down and look at more pictures that are more like that image that resonated with you. And you build this idea of what your visualization really looked like. Another big thing that I really, really, really love doing is walking through neighborhoods with houses that are really pretty for two reasons. One, because that's something that I really want. Like I've always wanted like a big, beautiful home. So being able to walk through the neighborhood and see that that really exists and see what's possible and pick out like what my dream house is and pick out like what I want it to look like and see with my own eyes that that exists, that's real, somebody owns this. And two is that the person that owns it is not a Kardashian. They're not some famous multi-billionaire has to like do these like wonderful big gigantic things in order to have that home. Like this is a whole neighborhood filled with big beautiful homes. They're not all famous. They're all rich, but they're not all famous. So what did they do to accomplish that? And you can be a normal person and accomplish these things just like they did. It just makes it so much more realistic. I love it. And the other thing I've been trying to do to really embody is making sure that I'm speaking in the way that my new version would speak. And I mean that in the sense of, like I said earlier to you guys, in the home I will live in. Not in the home I wish to, I want to, that I hope I do one day. The home I will live in. The husband I will have. The money I will make. Like the career I will have. Like I speak as if it is locked in and I am just on the grind to achieve that. And I don't say grind like hustle. I just mean like I am in motion towards the thing that I will one day have, because I will one day have it, because I believe that I will one day have that thing. And I love it. Like it really has shifted the way that I feel inside of my body. Another thing that I will do is like in my clothes, like making sure that even if I'm laying around the house, that I have like an outfit happening. Like right now I'm wearing like this cute like V-neck shirt. I'm wearing sweatpants. I just put a scarf on my head and like, look, I've got an outfit. And like, I feel good, but I'm just like laying in my house. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like going out and going anywhere, and it feels good to show up closer in alignment with my new self than with my old self. You know, I did a little bit of makeup. I have no face makeup on, but I put on some lip liner, lip gloss, mascara, and eyebrow pencil. And like the same thing with taking care of my skin and my hygiene. Like I'm brushing my teeth, I'm washing my face, I'm using a moisturizer, I'm using a lip mask, I'm using retinol under my eyes, I'm using my tretinoin cream at night, I'm taking my spirulactone, my acne medication. I'm using a shampoo and conditioner that I think really helps the health of my hair. I'm brushing my hair regularly. I'm trying to do things with my hair as much as possible. Like I am speaking and showing up as the version of myself that I want to be more than I'm not. But we have to normalize falling back into old patterns. Like while I've been doing all of those things, the other night I laid on my couch in like whatever clothes that I was, t-shirt and shorts that I was wearing, and had greasy hair, and I ordered Taco Bell to my house, and I made sure that they left it at my door so that I didn't have to interact with another human being, and I sat there and I watched TV. And this week was one of the weeks that I was describing earlier, that I didn't follow my routine, that I woke up later than I intended to, I didn't work out all week, I didn't go on a run all week, I did do my journaling, but that was about it. You know, I I did other things that were a part of my routine. I didn't read my self-improvement book every single day. I didn't meditate every single day. Like, I was doing those things really well for about 3 weeks. And then this week, I just didn't feel like it. And I was beating myself up and beating myself up and beating myself up, like Monday through Wednesday, I would say. And then around Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I was literally like, I am allowed to take a break. Like, it is okay if I don't feel like doing that. I'm just gonna go with the motherfucking flow. And I feel so much better being able to do that. And this morning, I almost went on a run. I didn't do it, but I almost did. I know that that means that I'm inching back towards the routine. I have a really good feeling that when Monday rolls around, I'm gonna be back in the routine. It's reframing those mistakes as part of the practice of embodiment. It's just a part of it, you know? And when those things happen and you are aware of it, you're aware of it. You can be kind to yourself, and you're practicing that. You're practicing grace and knowing that that is all a part of you on this track to becoming the new version of yourself. It's important to read, watch, listen to the things that light you up, that make you feel like, oh, that's what I want. That's what I want to achieve. And listening to the things that tell you how to do it. It is so important because awareness sparks the new idea. It sparks the shift from your old self to your new self. But embodiment is what makes it real. Doing practices that get you closer to the version of yourself that you want to be. Filling your bucket with more examples of you being the new version of you than the old version of you is what's really important to actually feel like the version of yourself that you want to be. Not just think about her, but to actually feel like that person. Right now, take a second while we're sitting here, while we're doing this together, and think about one new narrative. Right now. It might have just popped into your head when I said it, but pick one new narrative, and that's the one you should follow. Like, trust your intuition. Pick one new narrative, and now think of a micro action that you could do as much as possible in order to act more in alignment with your new narrative. What is that going to be? It probably came to you pretty quick. And again, what you can think about it farther. If you end this episode and you think of a better idea, 100% do it. But I think listening to your intuition, listening to what's really calling to you, listening to the thing that immediately popped into your head when I said that, I think is something that you should definitely pay attention to. Okay, this week's question of the week I chose because I really, really related to it, especially with my week of taking a break off of my routine. So the question says, what role does physical health play in mental clarity and overall productivity? What's so interesting to me is that we hear that 100 times. We hear people talk about how they work out for their mental well-being. And for whatever reason, I cannot make that connection to save my life. Like, I know it to be true. It really speaks to everything that we talked about today. Like, I logically know that to be true because when I do fall off of my exercise routine, when I do fall off of my entire routine, I do feel my mental health take a toll on it. It's interesting because the reason that I didn't do anything this week is because last weekend I spent the entire weekend drinking, and that was not good for me. Like, that did not make me feel good. So then I went into Monday, and even though my body didn't feel hungover anymore, I know for a fact that the reason I had mental fog was because of the amount that I drank the weekend before, and then I fell out of habit, and the whole rest of the week I didn't do well, and the whole rest of the week, because I wasn't doing well, my mental health was slipping. I had a moment that I was crying this week, which I haven't had in a little while. I had more aggressive thoughts this week. I had more times that I was feeling guilty or like I was beating myself up, and it's wild because I know that it's because I'm not doing my routine. I know that it's because I'm not exercising and I'm not drinking water and I'm not eating right. Like the other day, the only thing I ate all day was like a giant bowl of pasta. That was it. And I had ice cream that night. Like, what am I doing, And like the week before, I was making chicken wraps for myself and a burger bowl and I felt really, 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 really good when I was doing it. So it's like we notice that there is this difference, and what I am still trying to figure out is how to act on the things that we know will make us feel good when we don't feel good. And so I answer your question with awareness. When we're doing the routines and habits that make us feel good, we notice that we feel better. And when we don't and we fall off of those things, we can notice the difference in our mental health. So I would encourage you to start paying attention to that difference. And even if you can't get yourself to do the routines and the habits that would make you feel better because you're not feeling good, at least you're aware enough of it that maybe you can start to work towards that, and you can give yourself some grace while you're not there yet. If you have a question of the week, the easiest way to get it to me is via DM. You can send it to @Wellish Podcast, both on Instagram and on TikTok. And if you want to keep up with me and my life, you can follow my Instagram @Sarah.Rittendale. You do not need to embody your new story perfectly. You just need to try to embody it a little bit more as you go along. Thursday, we're going to be talking to Erica Bonham. She's a licensed professional counselor. She's a certified somatic and attachment-focused EMDR trainer, a ketamine-assisted psychotherapist, and author of the best-selling book, Always Enough, Never Done. She is really cool because her work talks about perfectionism and getting rid of that idea and binary thinking. And we're going to be talking a lot about why we get trapped in this idea that we can think our way into healing and into the version of ourselves that we want to be. And she's going to give us some tips about what we can do instead. So it'll be a really good conversation that you don't want to miss. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. You're absolutely incredible. And I believe in you to become the version of yourself that you always dreamed of yourself being able to. I love you, I love you, I love you. And I will talk to you Thursday. Bye.